Greetings, brothers and sisters. Another sort of Hollywood celebrities dropping like flies and other things here. Police closing an investigation into Alan Ruck's crash. This is from Perth now. Um, there is no criminal charges being brought against the guy whose car slammed into the car in front of him, slammed into another car going through an intersection, and then drove into a pizza parlor. And so they're blaming the vehicle, which I covered yesterday. Um, but that's effed up, right? So technology error. So when there's a technology error, who becomes responsible for the accident? The technology company? Are they going to pay the insurance bills, or what's going to happen there? And does he get a ticket? Who's responsible when tech goes awry in your car? And I mean, it could easily have killed somebody. The next thing I want to get to here is Bronny James. And um, they showed Bronny in the audience of a game the other day. And again, I don't have the image. I don't have the I didn't get a screenshot of the game. But you can see what he looked like just, I don't know, 6 months ago. His face has gotten huge. And this isn't as good a shot as like there was at the game. But he was unrecognizable. And he didn't look like a 19-year-old kid. His face has gotten big at USC. His head has gotten much bigger. So he's either on some sort of medication, some steroids. So here it is here. This is what he looked like before, right? He looked like he was a 19-year-old kid, and his face just got huge. And so they got some medication. They got him on some medication. This is good. I mean, he's unrecognizable. Maybe he's on steroids or something, or whatever it is. But he was, his face was thinner. This happened to Barry Bonds when Barry Bonds went on steroids. I had a bunch of friends that were using steroids back then and lifting weights, and a coworker when I worked at a gym. And you could just tell when someone went on roids. Their faces would get big, and they would just, they would look different. And I don't know what's happening with him. Here he is again. You see this face has just gotten huge. This is what he looked like before. So he went from looking like a kid to looking like somebody who, there's a certain period in your life where you put on weight. And for me, it was later in life. I have a fast metabolism in my family. My grandparents all lived into their 90s, and the one who didn't was, it was more of lifestyle than anything else, right? And so there's longevity that runs in my family. We age more slowly. My parents both lived into their 90s. And, I started put on weight, whatever. But everyone does. There's a time where you become in your adult life where your youthful body is no longer there, right? You just put on weight. Women usually after they've had kids, and in their whatever 20s and 30s, it depends on it also could be on your diet when you leave home. You go to college, you start eating junk food or whatever it is. And so this has happened to Bronny James right after he had a cardiac arrest. And then it says here, Bronny James nearing basketball return, LeBron James says. Here he is here watching his team from the bench. LeBron James says Bronny's health going in the right direction after heart surgery. And so, this guy was an NBA prospect. It was going to be he was one of the top recruits. And now he looks like he's an old man and he may never play basketball again, right? I'm a world record human cyborg with 52 implants in my body. And some kind of deer behind him there. She's got a magnetic personality, literally. Anastasia Sin, 48, from Tehachapi, California, now holds the Guinness World Record for the woman with the most technological implants on her body. Well, that's not a real record. She just had surgery. There she is there. Look, she's got magnets here. She can, that's useful. She's from Australia, apparently. She's got magnets all over the place here. And she's got this going on. So you can always find a way to, carry your CO2 cartridges. Okay, so this happened. This guy's just sitting there. He's an employee. And somebody decides to take an ATM with a backhoe. So they got the backhoe. They broke through the window. A lot of ATM thefts. This is in Oakland. So he's going for the cash. He's going to rip the thing to shreds with the backhoe, which is smart. Then you don't have to get the, whatever the... He's just destroying the store. There he comes in now. I mean, the cops, where are the cops? He doesn't have to. He's going to try to drag the thing out of there, but now he realizes he's got access to the cash. He goes back out to his tool truck here. And, he's going to go back in with the backhoe here. They got it all in security camera. But he's all masked up. So good for him. He's an entrepreneur. Ryan Reynolds saved the day after Wrexham star's wife diagnosed with inoperable brain tumor. He saved the day. In the most recent episode of FX Welcome to Wrexham, have largely dealt with the veritable money pit the football club has become for co-owners Ryan Reynolds and Robert McConnelly, who acquired the team in 2020. In this week's new episode, Worst Case Scenario, the pair learned of a financial consequences should Wrexham not get promoted, which was essentially the entire business plan that they had been banking on. They have this thing when they have these clubs, these soccer clubs, and there's the highest level leagues, and there's all these lower level leagues, and the lower level leagues are just they're not even, players don't get paid, right? But if you win, your team gets promoted up into the higher leagues. It's like the team who comes in last has to go down to a lower league, something like that. It says here, midfielder Anthony Ford has been away from the team since February 28th. In an episode which was filmed in April, just days after his partner Laura had given birth to the couple's first child and began to notice her left arm was feeling a little strange and her coordination was off. As she has since shared on Instagram, weeks later revealed that she has an inoperable, incurable 3 or 4 brain tumor that is likely the outcome was a short life expectancy. So she is going to die of a brain tumor. So she's going to die of a brain tumor. I don't know what this is. This is her Instagram thing or something like this, right? How did Ryan Reynolds save the day? Ryan helped get a second opinion. And now it says she has been re-diagnosed with a grade 1 thalamic brain tumor. Thalamic. She would get to watch their son Patty grow up after all. So it's a feel-good story. First it was terminal, now it's just a brain tumor. Way to go, Ryan Reynolds. So this happened.
They're gonna hit this van. 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 Look out! Oh my God!
They hit it?
Pull over. What in the dude?
It's a prime van. So it looked like it was accelerating into the van, so that might have been another case where people's cars are taking over, Okay, so this is, one of my viewers sent me this. Just watched it and then watched it with my wife. This is a young person who has, I don't know what you would call this, these liberal beliefs, these woke beliefs, and she has gotten into a mindset. And this is what happens when a belief system interacts with rules and laws, and, you'll see it here.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Why are you driving in the wrong way of traffic?
No, I just got changed around. I just moved here like 2 months ago.
Okay.
I just got changed around.
Okay. Do you understand what's going on, though?
Yes.
You're going into oncoming traffic.
I know, and I just decided that it was better just to turn around really quick. So.
Okay.
So this person is later going to come out as non-binary to the cop, but does not give pronouns. which is going to come into play a number of times throughout this interaction. And this person named Kai, and I'll use the name Kai here where pronouns should be because, that's how things roll. That's how things shake out now on YouTube's and the social media platforms. So Kai is lost and new to the area, and Kai gets confused and decides to turn onto oncoming traffic and drive against the traffic as a solution. And a young, who turns out to be a very patient cop, pulls her over. Sounds possibly Hispanic. I'm not sure where this is taking place. And that's important because Kai is going to refer to this person and say, "You're being a white man right now." Spoiler alert. But as we move forward, Kai reveals that Kai has multiple anxiety disorders and mental health issues. And Kai doesn't believe the rules of law don't apply to Kai because Kai is broken and Kai has these mental issues and anxiety disorders. So because of being broken, it's acceptable to Kai to drive against the traffic, and Kai should be able to walk away from this interaction without any sort of legal penalties.
But I'm sorry. I just have like really bad social anxiety and stuff.
I get you.
I don't want to step out whenever you're asking for stuff.
Okay, well, we're past that.
The cop has some great one-liners here. We're past that. Right? We're past all this. You got to step out of the car.
Just go ahead and step out.
As an indigenous person,
Right back here, please. Miss Perry?
well, I'm non-binary, so
Okay. What do you go by?
it's Kai.
How can I refer to you tonight? Kai?
Kai.
Okay. Hey, I'm smelling alcohol.
I know.
How much have you consumed tonight?
Like probably 3 drink.
I need to run you through some tests right now.
So we'll refer to this person as Kai, even though it'll be, not correct grammar here. But Kai has been drinking. And Kai has had 3 drinks. Kai says that Kai had 3 drinks. And Kai, at least, something like this. Not sure exactly. Which would mean that Kai is over the legal limit. Because it only takes, an ounce of alcohol to be past the legal limit. And because of these drinks and because of social anxiety and because of mental issues, which Kai is going to talk about throughout this process, Kai decided to, and the Kai isn't where Kai is familiar with, Kai decided to get turned around and then go towards oncoming traffic. Which, if you're doing something like that and a cop sees you and then you say you're drinking, you're probably going to end up in jail, right? Regardless of your social anxiety, regardless if you're an indigenous person, regardless of whatever group you claim to be about. But Kai doesn't understand that. Kai thinks that this is something that is excusable because of Kai's, various low functioning, psychological issues and other things.
Stand facing me, please.
But I just want you to know that I also have very bad social anxiety.
You and me both.
Okay.
That was great. Let's watch that again. But she says, I have very bad social anxiety. He goes, you and me both. She goes, okay. Because she wants to say your social anxiety doesn't count. Only mine does. And that's, this is broken people. And my wife and I, when we watched this, we had the exact same reaction that this person should not be able to drive. That Kai should not be able to drive. Because Kai isn't, able to obey the laws and rules of the road, which are kind of important because you're driving a deadly weapon. If you're going to drink and drive and you're not a good driver and you're going to make bad decisions, and then when you get pulled over, you don't want to take responsibility because you're broken in some way, then you shouldn't have a license, right? And you can't function. This person can't function and is using all this excuses and victim consciousness as a way to excuse behaviors that are not socially acceptable and are illegal.
Stand facing me, please.
But I just want you to know that I also have very bad social anxiety.
You and me both.
Okay.
Okay? Any recent head trauma Traumatic brain injuries, anything I need to know about?
Mental, yes.
Focus on my finger, please.
I am. You're just like trying to intimidate me.
I don't know how I'm trying to do that. This is the test.
As you know, as an Indigenous person, and there's a bunch of going around, I'm sorry, but it's just for me to be on my toes.
I get you.
Kai kind of seems white. Kai does not sound, and as far as I can tell, look like an Indigenous person. Maybe there is some percentage. I don't know if it's Elizabeth Warren percentage. But in terms of Native peoples, Indigenous people, would they claim this person as somebody who is one of them, right? In terms of amount of genetic makeup or whatever else, behaviors, I don't know, all these qualifying terms. Because it seems like, it doesn't seem like, Kai is saying based on being a person who's non-binary and an Indigenous person and someone with psychological issues and trauma and other things, that the rules don't apply, and they kind of have to when you're driving, right? So this is when these belief systems meet the reality of adult life, right? Where you have to function and you have certain behaviors that are expected of you, and one of them is you don't drink and drive, and another one is you don't drink and drive and then swerve on into oncoming traffic. I was just talking about this with my wife about my dad had a predisposition towards going the wrong way on one-way streets. One time we were on vacation, one of those sort of like beach towns, which had a lot of one-way roads. And my dad went the wrong way in 3 consecutive roads. As a little kid's in the back seat. And my mom would be like, "Oh my God, Ralph, oh my God." She was always like, very nervous about his driving. I don't know if he didn't see well enough. And he kept on turning from one wrong road to another. Another time he was, they had just paved a road and had tar on it. And my dad, we had this old Ford Maverick. And my dad turned on the road and drove over the new pavement with these guys, construction workers, yelling at him and waving their arms. And you know how, like, if you live in an area where there's snow, the snow can accumulate in the back behind the wheel well. And you'll have this big block of ice and snow that freezes there. As a kid, we used to kick it and knock it off. Well, we had tar like that. Like there was tar caked on the car, right behind the wheels. And my dad just wrecked all these guys' work and stuff. And apparently there was another time before I was born where my parents were driving to New Jersey, and they're going across these, they're going through one of the tunnels or one of the, the places there in New York City. And my dad went the wrong way in the tunnel somehow, which I don't even understand. And the cop came up swearing. My mom told me this story. And my sisters, my 3 older sisters, were dressed in, it was Easter, and they were dressed in their little bonnets, and they were going to see my dad's family and Easter. And the cop saw them, and he refrained from swearing, right? But he wanted to wring my dad's neck because, doing things like that, because you just can't do them. And then later on, I went to visit my family, my parents in Florida. I was in my 20s, and they had these busy roads in Florida, and my dad was towing a trailer, and I was going to help him unload it. And I said, "Why don't you let me drive, because you suck at it?" And he was like, no. And so we were on a lane, like a 2-lane road, with a lot of traffic. One of these roads, Glades roads, or one of these, big, heavy traffic roads. And there was oncoming traffic, and we were taking a left across oncoming traffic. And then there was another road right after the oncoming traffic my dad was going to take a right on. But instead, my dad took a right onto oncoming traffic. And we were towing a trailer. It was a freaking disaster. And we eventually got pulled over on the side of the road. I'm like, "Get out. I'm driving." I'm not going to die because you can't, you're Mr. Magoo, right? And so when people don't have the ability to drive in such a manner, they're a danger and a liability to other people. And there are consequences for these things, especially if they're going to drink. And there's no excuses for this. And this is the victim consciousness. This is the them celebrating being broken. This is what's happened to these modern day kids, where they think that the rules are, if you just say you're sorry, and math doesn't, 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. Math is, as long as you tried hard enough, and if you have, if you're having a bad day, then math isn't, math, and rules aren't rules, because you don't feel up to it. You don't feel up to, doing what's being asked of you. And the weakness that's setting in for this generation that's already spending way too many hours addicted to the internet, they're just not able to function.
Can you remember that I told you that I'm non-binary?
Yeah, I'll try my hardest. I'll refer to you as Kai, right?
Yes.
Perfect. I need to know if you have any injuries or anything that would prevent you from doing a standard walk or a turn tonight.
Mental health.
Any physical injuries?
Mentally, yeah. But no, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Mental, PTSD, depression, anxiety.
I get you.
What else you want?
So if you have PTSD and you have these various psychological disabilities, you can't do certain things. You can't, driving would be one of them, right? You can have these things and you can celebrate them and they can be a part of your reality, but you can't put other people in danger. And the cop asks Kai, do you have any physical abilities would make you not be able to do this walking test to prove your sobriety? And Kai says, no, but I have these mental disabilities, and lists them all, which, of course, the cop didn't ask that, right? The cop didn't say, do you have any mental disabilities that would, he asked about physical disabilities, you have a leg injury or something that would affect your ability to do this test, because it's a test of your sobriety. And PTSD isn't on the list.
Now with your right foot, place it in front of your left in a heel-to-toe touching manner with your arms by your side, just like this, ma'am.
Can you not call me ma'am, please?
I'm trying my hardest.
Okay, well,
Okay.
it means a lot to me.
I'm trying my
I don't
hardest.
feel like a man, so
Okay.
it's kind of triggering.
Right foot in front of your left. Nope, go back.
I'm sorry, but the whole man thing, just like,
I apologize. Let's see if we can move forward from it. You have 0 questions?
no, but I just want to tell you that I suffer from really bad anxiety, especially with generational trauma and PTSD around white people and cops. Like, it's just,
I'm going to speak with you right over here, okay?
no.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead and place your hands behind your back.
Don't, dude.
Don't make it hard.
Please.
Don't make it hard.
No,
Don't. You're going to get a resistance.
Dude,
You're going to get a
I
resistance. Right?
don't.
Don't resist.
Don't.
Listen to me. Don't resist.
Don't. You're being
Come
a
here.
white man and
Come here.
don't.
You're being a white man. He's being a cop. And this is what cops do. I'm not sure if this guy's a white guy or he's maybe possibly Hispanic, but whatever he is in terms of his nationality, his ethnicity, he's being a cop. And he's been kind of a good one. Like, he could have been a real dickish about this and arrested you right off the bat. And he was very patient. And you're driving drunk. And we all knew this was going to happen. And you should have known this was going to happen. And if you have these types of anxieties, and you're going to have anxieties for the authority, you're going to have anxieties for cops, and you got lucky with this one, because it could have been a lot worse, right? There are cops out there that would have been tasing you or whatever. Like, it could have been way worse. But you think you can excuse your behaviors because of your psychological limitations and all these other things that you think are, they're being supported. You're being told by the, this mindset from the, this liberal agenda that being broken, you should get special treatment. And that doesn't apply to life, right? I mean, you don't get special treatment. It's only something you can get in terms of our society. Like in nature, animals can't, if a gazelle is being chased by a cheetah, the gazelle can't turn around to the cheetah saying, I'm having a really bad day and I have social anxiety, and list all these various broken qualities and expect the cheetah not to eat it, right? Like, this is, when you have to survive and you have to work and you have to function in life, in most circumstances, you can't be weak, right? There's a thinning of the herd. And it's only in our modern day civilization right now, because that's coming to a close, as things are going to get a lot harder. We actually have to go out and do things you don't want to do. And this generation across the board, these young people, have no clue what's going to happen to them, because things are going to get a lot harder for them than they were for us years and years ago. Like, things are going to get worse for them.
I followed all of your like, as an indigenous person, like, you guys. You guys are scaring me.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
Yes, there is. It's called.
But anyways, saying that I followed all of you guys' rules and tests, I should just be let go. Like, there's no sense that this was going to lead to an arrest, right? Like, this was going to end up in an arrest, because when you're driving drunk, they're going to pull you off the road. They're not going to let you get back in the car. They're liable for that. And what if you kill somebody? You're obviously not able to drive here. Kai is not able to drive here. And you think this would be pretty much the weirdest part of my video, but it's not, because I just found out about this. Let's go to this other clip here. Twitch star making beer with her own vaginal yeast. They'll probably drink it. Think about the narcissism here, right? That she would think that people would want to drink beer made out of yeast that came from her vagina. That's what social media is doing to people in terms of increasing their narcissism. And there's probably a market for it. Caitlin Saragusa, who goes by Amaranth on Twitch, Amaranth, I don't know. And OnlyFans is adding her own special ingredients to a beer she's creating with a Polish beer company, the Order of Yonis, her own vaginal yeast. It's hilarious. People will buy it for sure. I don't know if they'll actually drink it. I mean, they'll probably drink it. They want to make beer using my vaginal yeast, like the same profile. And so here's the blueprint, right? You got a skank. You got some distillery equipment. And then it's going to be something that these perverted, I don't know, whatever you would call them, will be drinking, because, it's the apocalypse. So if you think about these last two stories I just covered, this Kai's arrest, and this TikTok, Twitcher, or whatever it is, who is being told by a beer company, it sounds like this is what's happened, that there's going to be a strong market for vaginal yeast beer by all these pervs that are going to her, site or whatever, or I don't know. And there probably is. I mean, I'm assuming this is going to be a successful financial venture. And this is what I'm talking about, the civilization not being able to recover, because young people are so twisted. They've been twisted by the internet. They've been twisted by this agenda, and they're unable to function, and they're really weird, and they've got a warped sense of reality. And the weakness that is all pervasive in the younger generation, the inability to do mundane jobs, their inability to do mundane tasks, needing to be stimulated, their belief systems about themselves, celebrating brokenness, being depressed and having multiple psychological issues, and not being able to function in the world. This is a whole generation of kids that are going to eventually be parents, and they're going to be there's a window of life now between whatever it is, 18 or 25 and 40, where you're kind of carrying the load. Like, the people are doing all the jobs, raising the kids, doing hard jobs, producing financially as employees and members of society, and also raising your kids at the same time before you start aging out of this demographic, right? And so between 18 and 45 or so, the bulk of the responsibilities of carrying society fall on your shoulders. You have to do all the work, especially the physical work. I guess you could start at 16 working at fast food restaurants and things like this, right? That keeps society going. And these kids don't want to work. And so there's all these places that can't have full employment because kids don't want to do these jobs and they're so low functioning. And as these kids get older, they're not going to be able to do anything. They're not going to be able to sustain, the kind of, traumas and stressors and things that previous generations had to endure, especially when things get rough and go south, when all the privileges start disappearing. And when you don't have internet all the time, you don't have electricity, there's no food in the grocery stores, or there's a complete overall collapse. And when people say, well, this can be saved, how is this going to be saved? How are you going to reteach this generation to be human beings and not be as weak as they are and not be as broken as they are? You can't do that. I mean, this is a whole generation of young people that aren't prepared for adult life. And this is just one, and no moral compass and, just wrecked in every possible way. It's the people that make up your society. During a time where the economy, the numbers just don't add up anymore. The debt-based numbers can't be fudged anymore. And there's been a breakdown on every level of our system is collapsing on every level. And you guys who are watching this stuff, even more stuff than I see, and you're hearing about this, and then somebody like Trump comes along or whatever it is and says, hey, I'm gonna fix things, and you believe it. Like, there's no fixing this. The system's toast, right? Like, there's no reversing this process. And the evidence is overwhelming. And, it's just right there for everyone to see. And then, the kids dropping like flies, having cardiac arrest. I mean, what are the effects of the bloop on the whole situation? And so it's over, right? This is empirical evidence that it's over. And there'll be more stories tomorrow. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.